Have you seen how the last 3 months have gone? This is the perfect time to panic. Hi, welcome, come on in. My name is Aoife, and today I am taking the Quarter Year Crisis book tag. This was originally created by Róisín from Róisín's Reading, and it is the best way I have found to look back over January, February, and March and to take a look at how your reading is going, the goals that you have achieved, the things that you're kind of falling behind on a little bit, and it's just a really great way to look back and to prepare for what's coming next. First question up is, how many books have you read so far this year? And I am clocking in so far with a total of 29. This is better than March of last year, where I had only gotten to 27. So I am doing a little bit better than I was in 2024. And that's giving me a hell of a lot of hope, because I found that 2024 was a particularly difficult reading year for me. I feel like I wasn't reaching for books as often as I had usually been. Anything that I was reading, I felt like I was just plodding along with it and not reading at my usual speed or tempo. So I feel like now that I know that the numbers are starting to improve a little bit more, I'm definitely feeling a little bit more excited about the rest of the year. Of the books that you have read so far this year, do you think that you have found one that could potentially be a favourite? I think I've got three that could possibly be the best book of the year so far. The first one that I read was The Third Gilmore Girl by Kelly Bishop. They could never make me hate that woman. I absolutely loved this memoir. It went through basically Kelly's entire life story, from growing up in a kind of a not quite well-to-do family to moving to Los Angeles and getting a lot of jobs on TV sets. And all that she had really wanted to do was to see a production out from start to finish. She just wanted to be part of that camaraderie. She wanted to have that kind of basic relationship with her co-stars. And when she finally found that in Dirty Dancing, and when she found that again in Gilmore Girls, it was such a warm moment to read. It does also go through quite a lot of things from Kelly's personal life, about her wanting to be child-free, about an abortion that she had in the 1970s. For me, Kelly Bishop is kind of the antithesis of an Emily Gilmore. And I absolutely love reading that, because while she might be completely different to the character that a lot of people of my generation would know her as, there are still a lot of whispers of Emily Gilmore about her. There's that same kind of fire. There's that same really fiery personality that I just love from Emily Gilmore. So seeing it in Kelly Bishop herself was absolutely phenomenal. I've also really enjoyed The Stolen Child by Carmel Harrington. I haven't read a whole lot of Carmel's books before, but I do know that this is her first ever thriller. It's about a young family who live in Ireland, and they are on a cruise in the Mediterranean when one night their young son goes missing. About 40 or so years later, their younger daughter Lily is now a therapist, and a young man has walked into her therapist's office. He has seen an interview that Lily's father has given on TV, and he is pretty sure that he might be Robert. I thought that this was such an interesting and engaging story. It really takes you the whole way across the world. There is so much happening and there is so much going on that it's so fast-paced and kind of high octane at the same time. I really enjoyed this one. I'm definitely going to go and have a look at Carmel Harrington's other books, but I am also aware that this is the first thriller that she's ever written, so a lot of her other books are kind of contemporary women's fiction. I also really enjoyed Frankie by Graham Norton. I put this one off for such a long time, and I really shouldn't have. It's about a woman named Frankie who is in her 80s and living in London. She's had a fall and she's kind of recovering from a broken arm, but her friend Nora has hired a live-in carer to come and to take care of her for a couple of days. Frankie and Damien set up this really beautiful friendship and relationship, and Frankie tells Damien all of the stories about when she was growing up in Cork, the family stress and drama that she went through, moving to London, moving to the US, all of the things that she was getting involved in as a teenager and as a young adult, and it was so vibrant to read. It really felt like I was walking along the streets of New York with Frankie. It really felt like I was cowering in fear in a bedroom with her one day. I absolutely was enthralled by this book. I've loved every Graham Norton book that I've read so far, and I think this one might be at the top of the pile. Next question is, are there any books that you've given a 1 star to, or is there anything that you have found as your least favourite so far? There's 2 books that have particularly disappointed me so far in 2025. The first one that I read was Deep End by Ali Hazelwood. I was so intrigued and invested in this book, but it just did not hit the mark for me. I had seen so many people talking about this on Threads, saying that it was super racy, that it was really big in the kink world. And I read it and it was just flat. The most kinky thing in this book was nipple clamps. And to be quite honest, If I'm hearing that a book has got kink in it, I need a little bit more than that. This just really didn't scratch the itch that I wanted it to. The other disappointment was The Baby Dragon Cafe by A.T. Qureshi. I was so intrigued in this one because it was a cozy fantasy. I thought it would be a really great introduction to cozy fantasy for me. But instead, what I got was talked down to and infantilized. I felt like every 2 pages, I was getting repetition of information that I had just gotten. It was like A.T. Qureshi didn't trust me to take anything that she had said to me in, and that I needed to be spoon fed the same information again and again and again. And it just didn't work for me. I really need authors to trust that I'm an intelligent person who can take and withhold information, so that you don't need to tell me every 5 pages that Genevieve is Aiden's sister. I don't need to be reminded it in 5 different ways to say the same thing every 2 pages. Question 5 is, what is your most read genre this year? And in a surprise to absolutely nobody, my most read genre this year with 8 books is romance. But it may surprise you to learn that there are 4 different genres all battling for second place, all of them with 4 books read as well. Those 4 genres are contemporary fiction, thrillers, historical fiction, and memoirs. Those 5 genres do really encapsulate things that I would read the most often, so I'm not super surprised by that. I'm just a little surprised that I have read so frequently of those that they are in a dead heat. Question 6 is, what is a book that has surprised you? And again, I'm going to have to give the laudits to Frankie by Graham Norton. I went into this one evening when I was going out for a walk and I said, this is just going to keep me going for the hour that I am out getting my legs stretched. What actually happened is that I came home from the walk, did not take my headphones out, and spent the entire rest of the evening catching up with Frankie, hearing her story, hearing about what life was like for her when she lost her parents at a young age, when she had to move in with her uncle, when she had to move to London because of a huge scandal that had happened in her family, when she fell in love with New York and its vibrancy. All of the things that made Frankie's life traumatic but entertaining were such a great read for me. I have got a couple of other books from Graham Norton that I really need to check out. I haven't read Holding yet, which was his debut, and I also have a copy of Forever Home that I haven't touched off yet. Hopefully, those 2 are going to work for me just as well as Frankie did. The next question is a book that has already come out in 2025 that you haven't gotten a chance to read yet, and that is Famous Last Words by Gillian McAllister. I have put this on 2 TBRs so far in 2025, and I have not picked it up at all. I think I've put it on one of my monthly TBRs, and I have also put it on my spring TBR. And because spring is coming to its end for me, I am starting to get a little bit worried that I might not get to pick this one up. I really need to put my skates on, and I really need to get reading it because the concept of it is so genuinely intriguing to me. It is about a young woman who lives in London with her husband and their young daughter, and he goes out to work one day when Camilla gets a phone call from her manager. Liam's office has been held hostage, and she is now on tenterhooks to find out if her husband is going to be okay or if he's one of the people that has been set free. But what she has never been expecting is that Liam is not one of the hostages. He is actually the person taking the office hostage. I am so intrigued as to how that kind of thing is going to work for your psyche, and I cannot wait to see what Gillian McAllister does with it. The next question is, what is a goal that you are succeeding at? And for me, I am surprised that I am keeping up to date with my ratings blanket. At the start of 2025, I put together a couple of colours that I wanted to put together in a blanket for every single book that I had read. 5 all the way down to 1, and then a colour for non-fiction as well, which I don't tend to rate. I am up to about midway through March with the blanket. I'm in the middle of a row, so forgive how it looks at the moment, but this is the progress so far. I am pretty happy with how the colours have been weaving in together. There's no 1 stars on there yet, but there's a couple of 2s, there's a lot of 3s, there's a lot of 4s, and there's also been a couple of 5s as well. So the 5s is this kind of tealish colour here. Grey is for a 4-star, purple is for a 3-star, and 2 is a brown colour here. The white is for non-fiction, and if there had been any, then the 1 stars would be a kind of a mint greeny colour. I felt like those 6 colours would all work really well together, they would blend in really well together, and I am so happy with how it is looking so far. And I also love that at the end of 2025, maybe a little bit into the start of 2026, I will have something tangible to look back on and say that this is how my reading went in 2025. Plus, it's going to keep me warm in Berlin's winter. Another goal that I am doing pretty well at so far is the goal of reading 100 books in the entire year. I'm at 29 so far, which is definitely over a quarter of the way through the year, but it is also quite close to being a third of the way through. And I think being that much over the target at this specific checkpoint of the year is definitely spurring me on just to keep going a little bit. I am also pretty proud of how I'm doing with the Pop Sugar Reading Challenge this year. Of the 50 prompts on the list, I have got 16 of them checked off. Again, a little bit over the 12 and a half, which is a quarter of what I would need to do to be at this point, but I haven't gotten any of the advanced prompts yet done. I have got a couple of books that would have fit in there, but put them into different categories and ticked them off for different prompts. So I know that it is achievable. Even accidentally, I would have ticked off a couple of them. So who's to say that I won't get to the halfway point by the halfway point of this year? Conversely, what is a goal that you are not doing well at? I am doing so badly at reducing my physical TBR. I wanted to get it back down to 50 books because it had kind of creeped over by the end of 2024. And right now I am at 61. This is a little bit too high for where I would like to be, but it's also not sky high. It's not in the 90s. It's not even reaching to 3 numbers by this stage, but I do want to get it a little bit closer to the 55 by the end of June. And I have got a lot of reading left to do before I can even look at that. I'm also not doing super well with NetGalley, and this is something that I really needed to concentrate on for 2025. I have gone on really big NetGalley sprees over the last couple of years, to the point that I've got, I think, about 150 or so books that I need to review on the site, and most of those I haven't even read yet. There are a couple that I have been picking up, but it's definitely not the 2 a month that I really wanted to do. But I have really curbed in my requesting. I am so proud of myself for not going in with that kid in a toy shop kind of mentality, and that I am much more conscious of what it is that I'm requesting. Why am I requesting it? Am I just doing it because it sounds interesting, or am I doing it because I actively want to read it? It's an author that I enjoy. It's a topic that I think I'm going to really love. I'd love to discover this writer's a little bit more. I just need to be a little bit more conscious, but I am definitely making good strides in that sense. I just need to actually start reading the books. The final question is, who are some booktubers or bookstagrammers or book talkers that you've discovered in the last 3 months? And there are 2 people that I definitely want to give a big shout out to here. First one is Kate from Kate Stories. Kate, like me, is an immigrant living in Berlin. Kate is Polish. We actually met each other through a book club a couple of months ago. And ever since then, we have been sharing stories with one another. We've been swapping books. We've been talking about all of the things that we've really enjoyed reading. So when she sat me down one day and said she was thinking of starting a YouTube channel, I was genuinely so excited to see what she was going to do with it. I've really enjoyed her first video so far, where she has gone through some of her favorite things from 2024. Not just the books that she's read, but also some of the movies that she's seen, some of the TV shows that she's watched, some places that she's been. And if that's the kind of content that you're looking for, I would definitely recommend checking out Kate Stories. I've also really enjoyed discovering Nina from Nina Katarina. She is a Dutch booktuber, and like Kate, she doesn't just do booktube, she also does a lot of kind of cozy evening stuff. She has taken us through her daily routine, she's taken us through what she does on a Monday to kind of set herself up for the rest of the week. She's gone through a kind of a gaming session with Stardew Valley. She's got a couple of other friends in the Dutch booktube community, so I know that there's a lot of influence from their channels. So if you really enjoy people like Leo, like Leora, you are definitely going to enjoy Nina's stuff. And I have just had such a great time getting cozy with her in the evenings and wrapping myself up in a blanket, not the one that I'm knitting right now, like an actual put together blanket, and getting all of my books and getting a big cup of tea and just getting cozy with her. Those are my bookish highlights and lowlights for the last couple of months. What has been a bookish highlight for you? Or is there anything that hasn't worked so well for you? If you would love to leave me a comment, but you can't think of anything you'd like to say, then just leave me the calendar emoji. Don't forget to like and subscribe because I have new videos up every week. Now, get on out of here.